Okay, this video is inspired by the Fab Five documentary about the Michigan Fab Five, the five Michigan basketball players that, in my opinion, affected the game and changed it more than any player today has. And yes, that includes Steph Curry, even though I made a whole video on why no one's better than Steph Curry, linked above. Well, if you disagree with me, which you undoubtedly will, I highly recommend you watch the documentary. It includes interviews from 4 of the 5 guys in question and really goes in and out about the infamous Ed Martin scandal and the Fab Five in general. It will totally change your view on a lot of things, not just basketball. These 5 players introduced a new era of life. They normalized wearing baggy shorts and black socks. They normalized being cool, or what we call being cool today. This is the documentary in ESPN's words. They were one of the most famous and infamous teams in college basketball history. Forget what you remembered about the Fab Fives. This film will show them in a completely new light, quote unquote. I truly believe that without the Fab Fives, the world would be totally different. And the reason I'm going so in-depth on this 90-minute film, which is on demand with the ESPN Plus subscription in this video, is because of one line. Well, not one line, but this captivated my attention to the problem you saw in the title. Before I show you the words, let me tell you who the Fab Five are. It's Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, Jimmy King, Juwan Howard, and Ray Jackson. No doubt you've heard about a couple of those names, namely Chris Webber and Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose being famous for getting 81 points dropped on his head, which he actually didn't get dropped on his head. This is a lie, and there's a whole video on that Jimmy High Roller made, linked above right now. Chris Webber was famous for being an absolutely great basketball player. Anyway, it's Jalen Rose, the quote explaining when he realized their megastar, Chris Webber, was leaving for the NBA. He says, exact quotes, "I knew Chris was leaving when we were at a gas station. He saw his jersey hanging in the window for sale. Chris thought it might be cool to buy it, and that's when he realized he couldn't afford his own jersey." End the quotations. Okay, this hits hard. A shirt with his name and number as the main feature, and he can't even buy it. People think the life of a D1 college athlete is great. You get to travel all over the country with some of your best friends, and you get to play in huge stadiums. You get to participate in some of the biggest competitions in all of sports. And you have hundreds of thousands of students and alumni cheering you on. That's what people see. However, there's way more to it. You barely ever get to go to class. You're still expected to catch up with work. You wake up at 5:30 every morning to work out, then you might go to class once in a while. That is, if you're within 100 miles of your campus. Then you work out some more, then go to practice, eat salad, then go to bed. There's no glory in it, and I know this, and I can prove it, because my brother played D1 basketball for the Arizona Wildcats. Moreover, when you're traveling, you have no free time. You have to squeeze together a full-time school schedule and play your sport at the highest level you can. Then there's always the risk that if you make one crackhead move, the loyal fans all of a sudden hate you. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Not to mention, you get kicked off the team and maybe out of the college if you take any money or gifts whatsoever from anyone other than the NCAA. This is one of the most hotly debated topics regarding college sports. Chris Webber was one of the many to expose the NCAA and apparel companies such as Nike and Adidas for teen exploitation. But they will not change. There are very recent evidences of this, such as California passing a law that makes big college athletes eligible for endorsements with companies like pro athletes. However, the NCAA is threatening to kick out California schools from the NCAA for this. And their outrageous reasoning, because it gave California schools an unfair recruiting advantage. Well, NCAA, then change your rules. And before people say it's bad for the economy and all that bullshit, let me just say this. It's currently miserable being a college athlete, and we should want this to change. There's really no fun in being a college athlete right now. And I want that to change, and this is the point of this video. Before you take this all the wrong way, let me just say I love college sports. I'm a huge Michigan football fan, and March Madness is just something else. If you go back and rewatch games from just a couple years back, you see all these current superstars before the big money and fame. The atmosphere, the way the fans are involved, it's just impossible to replicate. And all this credit has to go to the NCAA. So in no way am I saying the NCAA is just out there to ruin the rise of budding athletes. It's just that somewhere in between, they started going towards the money and not the good part. Like I said before, there's an upside to this no money rule. We get to see the personality, development, and leadership capabilities of guys before the $1 million contracts and signature shoes. And that's great. This also protects them for a couple of years from the reality of working with big companies. However, I really don't know if that's good. These kids are adults, and they should be prepared for an adult world. Maybe the NCAA could allow sponsorships and contracts, but have them terminated when the player leaves college. That would allow guys to experiment, and it would be a cool rule. So, there's what I think about the NCAA not allowing players to sign contracts. Here's a question for you, guys. Do the benefits outweigh the costs of this no money rule?